You're kind of the star of the first half of it. What do you want people to take from watching something like this? What are the steps you want them to take after something like this?
Gosh, that's a tall order. I think this film is a call to consciousness and to re-understand our relationship with nature. I mean, that's the core of the message. And the core of the message is we're estranged from nature. And I watch my brother say these things. So looking at, and I've been saying the same things for myself for, 18 years or whatever. And so the message really hasn't changed. But people have got to start taking this seriously. We're as a species very well able to deny it. And again, it's about, as a species, we're protective of our comfort zone. But that can't last. It's not sustainable. We've reached a point now where we're seeing the consequences of our neglect of the lessons which we've known for 30 years or more. We could have started 30 years ago anticipating what is happening now and taken steps to mitigate it. We didn't do that. We're not good at looking much past the next quarter. We're not good at looking 50 years into the future. So denial works to a certain extent, but now we're about to hit the wall, and it's not going to be pretty. And I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know. Maybe it's not fair. I mean, you don't want to alarm people, but you want to alarm people enough to think about this.
How much time do we have? You were on the show today.
Well, we were talking about this morning. I think that 2020 is an important year. The next decade is the most important decade our species may ever confront, because I think at the end of the 20s, we will look back and we will either be able to say, we got this thing, we woke up, we made radical changes that will turn the ship around. It'll take a long time. I mean, even if we do wake up and do what we need to do, it'll still take 30, 40 years for things to settle down. Or we'll look back and say, it's too late. We didn't wake up. We didn't integrate the lesson, and we're doomed, basically. I mean, it's a terrible, it's a terrible thing to think about. I mean, it's certainly not a message I wish to propagate. I would like to think there is hope, but it's got to be a realistic hope. And I think people need to accept that our lives have to change. They have to change radically, and they have to change fast.
And Gaia is going to live on either way, with or without us.
Well, Gaia, if you mean by that the community of living species, Gaia will survive. Life on Earth is going to survive. It may be radically changed. It may be seriously impacted, but, species on Earth have gone through extinction events before. The 250 million years ago, the Triassic Permian boundary, 98% of terrestrial species went extinct, because of climate change, basically, volcanism, change in the salinities of the ocean and all this. And yet, of course, things survive. Life is tough. But wiping that many species off the planet, what it did was it opened up an opportunity for then life to diversify and proliferate and flourish. But it played itself out over millions of years, hundreds of millions of years. We don't think on that scale. Gaia thinks on that scale. Life works on that scale, evolutionarily. Our time frame is much shorter. Our perspective's much shorter. The environmental changes that are happening now are going to make it tougher on life, but life will be able to survive. We may not be able to. We may not have the adaptability. to do it. But I think we have what we. I mean, I think the ability to deal with these problems does exist, but there has to be a consensus emerge. This is why I say, first the monkeys have to wake up, but that's the first step. Then we have to wise up, and we have to, by wise up, I mean that we have to become wise. We have to think about things in a very clever way, which we've not done before. Our cleverness, we're extremely clever as a species, we're not very wise. We need to bring those things into congruence, into synchrony. And then we need to somehow create a global consensus. And this is the tough part. How do you get us as a species to come together and realize there are things we can do to save the planet? But right now, the governments of the world, the governments, corporations, the institutions that you would expect to be responding to this are not. There's no leadership. Look at environmental policy in the States, for example. I mean, not only do they not acknowledge that there is climate change and there's an environmental crisis, they deny, they say it's a hoax. A hoax, as California burns, as the sea levels rise. I mean, some joke, right?
This is why you have those bad trips sometimes.
Yes, I have these apocalyptic, and I think many people do on ayahuasca. You don't have to take ayahuasca to be, to have dreams or, to just have dark fantasies. All you have to do is read the newspaper. In fact, reading the newspaper probably contributes to that, And what do? Not read the newspaper? Well, maybe. Maybe that's part of it.